Hello and thank you for joining. Today's Python tutorial is going to be the third tutorial, and we're going to talk about lists in Python, and we're also going to touch a little bit on working with tuples. As you can see, I've launched the idle GUI, and what we're going to do, we're going to create a list. And the list that I'm going to create, I'm going to name it grades, and I do the name space equals, and you don't actually need a space, I'm just doing it for cosmetics. And then when you want to create a list, you use an open bracket. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to go ahead and enter values in here. So 84, let's do a 96, 100, 70, and maybe an 88. Okay, and then when you finish with the list, you just close the bracket, hit return, and now each of these values correspond to an index number. An important thing to note is the index values start their count at 0, not at 1. So this is index value 0, the 96 is 1, the 100 is 2, 3, 4, and so on. So if I want to return a value, I can go in and I can reference the name grades, the list, and then I can open the open bracket, and then I can reference if I want the third value there, that's really the second index since we start counting at 0. And you see that returns a 100. Okay, another thing I can do is if I just want to look at grades within a range, I can do that. I can go here, open bracket, and I can say, show me the grades 1 through 3 as an example. Okay, or I can do a range, an open-ended range, where I can do, for example, show me starting at index 0, colon, and if I close the bracket, hit return, it's going to give me everything starting at 0 until the end of the list. Okay. If I need to update a grade, let's say the 70, after further review, we've gone back and we need to edit that grade, we can go in and we can edit that. We go in and say grades, and then we reference the index number, open bracket. The index number is 0, 1, 2, 3. So that's index number 3. And then I set that equal to 80. Okay, now if I go back and reference grades, again, as a reminder, I can just go ahead and click on a command I would like to repeat, click in front of it, hit return, and it will put it on my current row, my prompt. Okay, and now you can see the 70 is replaced with 80. All right, so some other things that you may need to do is you may need to add a new entry, right? Add a new grade to the list. Grades. You can do this a couple of different ways. One way to do it is do plus equals. Okay, and then you can go in and say, let's add it's open bracket, and then let's add a 99. Okay, and now again, if I go back and look at those grades, I should see a 99 appended at the end, just like that. Okay, so another option is to do an append of the grades. So I can go in and say grades dot append, whoop, and then it's parentheses, and then I can add a value here. Let's go ahead and add a 97. Hit return, and then if I go here and look at my full list again, now I see I've added a 97 to the list. One thing I did want to mention here, I'm working with all numbers, but values in a list can be anything. So I'm going to go ahead, just to demonstrate that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do another append. I use this method, the plus equals, okay? And then open bracket. And then if you're adding a text value, a string value, just open quotes and let's say put in a name here as an example. Okay, and then if I want to go look at my list, you'll see that now I have a string value here. And now it will reference just like any of these other values. Okay, so some other things you may want to do with list is you may want to remove a value. So there's a couple different options here. If I do grades.remove and it's open parentheses and I just put in a value. So let's put in the 100 as an example. It will go ahead and remove the first 100 on the list that it comes across. Okay, so you see it's now gone. But more realistically, probably what's going to happen is you're going to want to delete a specific entry, and then you don't have to, and then in this previous example, if you had two 100s on your list, you want to be specific about which one you're removing. So what you can do is go and use the delete command, grades, and then you just put in your index number. So let's assume that we want to drop the, let's see, 0, 1, 2. Let's say we're going to drop that 80. That'd be index number 2. Hit return. And now, as you can see, when we display the list, that 80 is gone from the list since we deleted index number 2. All right. In the future, we'll go ahead and touch base on some more advanced list topics, for example, 2D list. And I just want to briefly mention working with tuples. Tuples are going to be very similar to list. However, there's a few differences. The first one is that instead of open brackets, you create them with parentheses. And the second one is tuples cannot, the values cannot be updated. Those are the main differences. So I'm just going to show you an example. I'm going to create a tuple. I'm going to name it A. And then I open parentheses. And then I'll do 1, comma 5. And then let's add a name in here. Let's do John again. Okay. So just like a list, you can create add string values, number values, or whatever you would like to. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. Now I've automatically created a tuple with my entry there using parentheses. And just like a list, you can go ahead and you can return that value. Okay, so for example, I could do and when you need to reference it, it's going to be the brackets. I could reference value index 0, which should come back and return the 1. Okay, and you can also do the same thing where you return all of them, 0 colon, and it will show you all of them. Okay, thanks for joining. That's what I wanted to share with you today, and we'll get out another tutorial here shortly. Thanks. Take care.